Nike today is a $30 billion cultural titan, but in 1962, the company was just a 24-year-old kid named Phil Knight. He operated out of the trunk of a lime green Plymouth Valiant, fueled by a $50 loan from his father. Knight traveled to a boardroom in Kobe, Japan, with a plan to import high-quality, low-cost running shoes. When the executives at Onitsuka Tiger asked what company he represented, he panicked and invented a name on the spot: Blue Ribbon Sports. He walked out of that meeting with the distribution rights for the Western United States. To turn this bluff into a business, Knight partnered with his former track coach at the University of Oregon, Bill Bowerman. Bowerman was an obsessive tinkerer who would sneak into his athletes' lockers to steal their shoes, tearing them apart and restitching them to find any way to shave off an ounce of weight. This chart reveals a financial paradox that nearly ended the company. To survive, they had to grow. But as the sales line climbed, it pulled cash reserves deep into the red, stretching their fragile bank credit to the snapping point. Blue Ribbon was a high-speed balancing act where slowing down meant immediate bankruptcy. From day one, the only way to stay solvent was to keep running. By 1970, the relationship with their supplier reached a breaking point. Knight learned that Onitsuka was secretly planning to break their contract and hand distribution over to a larger competitor. Knight responded with his own brand of espionage. During a meeting in Portland, he waited for an Onitsuka executive to leave the room and stole a private folder from the man's briefcase, finding the documents that confirmed the plot. Knowing their supply chain was about to be cut, Knight scrambled to secure independent factories in Mexico and Japan. Meanwhile, Bowerman began experimenting with a proprietary shoe design that wouldn't belong to Onitsuka. Bowerman found his breakthrough by pouring liquid urethane into his wife's kitchen waffle iron. He destroyed the appliance, but the experiment created a revolutionary high-grip rubber sole that would define the company's first original product. Knight named the new independent brand Nike. When Onitsuka discovered the secret line, the two companies entered a years-long legal battle. Blue Ribbon eventually won the rights to their designs in court, but the legal fees left them on the verge of total collapse. Nike was an improvised escape pod, created as a last-ditch survival effort in the face of a hostile corporate takeover. In 1975, the constant cash flow tension finally broke. The company missed a critical payment to the Bank of California, ending their years of precarious growth. The bank immediately froze all of Nike's accounts and reported Phil Knight to the FBI for corporate fraud. Without access to their own money, the business was effectively dead. A Japanese trading company called Nisho stepped in at the last minute. After auditing Nike's books and seeing the massive demand for the shoes, Nisho paid off the bank and saved Knight from a potential prison sentence. Just as they escaped financial ruin, a human tragedy struck. Steve Prefontaine, the company's first star athlete and its public soul, was killed in a car crash at age 24. The team was battered by grief and near ruin, but they chose to channel Prefontaine's relentless, competitive spirit into the brand. By 1977, domestic competitors like Converse and Keds were losing ground to Nike on the track. They turned to Washington, lobbying the government to enforce an obscure 1922 tariff law to stop Nike's momentum. This rule, known as the American selling price, stated that tariffs on imported nylon shoes had to be calculated based on the price of a similar American-made shoe, rather than Nike's actual factory cost. The U.S. Customs Service used this rule to hand Knight a retroactive bill for $25 million. Paying the debt would have ended the company instantly. To fight back, Knight launched the one-line scheme, a plan to legally hack the tariff system by knocking off his own company. Nike manufactured a low-quality, dirt-cheap sneaker in a New Hampshire factory and priced it barely above cost. They then legally forced the government to use this new cheap model as the official competitor benchmark for calculating their import duties. This loophole worked. It was a successful legal counterattack against an industry that had tried to use the government to rig the market. The one-line bluff forced the government to negotiate. The $25 million bill was eventually settled for $9 million, a sum Nike could finally afford. With the tariff threat cleared, Nike went public in 1980. The IPO turned the original team of misfits and shoe dogs into millionaires overnight. They used that capital to break into China, becoming the first American shoemaker in 25 years to do business in the country. The just do it ethos is rooted in this history of boardroom survival. Before the slogan ever inspired athletes, it was the lived reality of a team that spent a decade refusing to quit. Nike was forged by a company that was nearly killed a dozen times. Their story proves that in business, just as in running, the only true failure is stopping.